Returning glumly from Unley as the Crows defend the undefeated nest. This is the Sash Women's most definitely not the official podcast of the Essendon Football Club's women's side. And I'm back, baby. Courtney's back. I'm joined by Ari and Jordy. Have you missed me?
So much.
I've missed you and your incredible puns. The puns were not as good when you were gone. Glumly from Unley. That's unbelievable.
It's the alliteration of that one. It's
so
good. Yeah, I mean, like we'll crack into it and have a chat about my big trip, I suppose, if you guys have a spare however long. But yeah, let's get into it, shall we?
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Has the vision to square it back to Press for her first goal as a Bomber. And as she so often has, secures victory. Something to celebrate for Essendon in their 150th year. The Bombers with their first AFLW win.
Wales, about 45. Lets it go right to the line, and it is all the way home.
I'm Georgia Anscorn, and you're listening to The Sash.
So obviously, I just have returned back from a couple of weeks in Korea. I had the best time. Thanks so much for letting me still kind of come on the podcast by voice note.
No, it's good. It was nice to have something breaking up in between us just chatting random bullshit.
Pretending like we knew what we were doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it sounded good. I'll give you that. Like, it sounded really good. I was listening in. Yeah, you held down the fort really well, so thanks so much for that. I do still want to be back in Korea, though. Yeah, I had a great time. It was very warm, very sweaty, lots of walking. My body is now because I think I was doing 10 to 12 kilometers a day of just walking around looking at stuff. Is it
humid over there?
Yeah, pretty humid. I think it broke the September heat record while I was there, where it was about 34 degrees on one day. And that was a day that I decided to do a 6-hour walking tour.
Is that when we got the out-of-breath voice note?
No, that was just me kind of trying to find my friends after getting off a train and trying to get up to a art museum. And I was like, I don't know where the fuck I am. But let me tell you, what is the weather in Seoul right now? Currently 22 and it's 6:30.
Well, that's a bit more
too
pleasant,
bad.
isn't it? Yeah.
I think it's 62% humidity though.
Yeah, it's
it's still quite sticky.
Yeah.
But yeah, great. So much good food. I went over with about 10 kilos of luggage and came back with over 30. Mostly skincare.
Okay.
Oh, actually, Ari, I got you a present.
Oh.
I promised you. Hang on, where's my bag?
Exciting.
So
I think I know exactly what this is.
these are they're called Africa Random 5. And they are 5 different flavored cigarettes in one box.
Amazing.
I got a pack for my friend as well, Imogen, and she messaged me and she said, I'm having a random cigarette. It tastes like bubblegum. So,
wow.
And then she was like, I understand why they don't have flavored cigarettes over here. So enjoy those.
Awesome. Thank
Is
you.
it like those gimmick jelly beans where they're all really lovely, but there'll be one vomit flavor?
Maybe. I don't know. I didn't buy a pack for myself.
Yeah,
so
I'm interested to see
please
how
report
random
back.
this is. I'm very excited for this.
About 5 random. But yeah, it's crazy over there. Vaping is so huge. It's terrifying. It's there's just shops and they just have them all out on display, out on the road and stuff. But yeah, it's lawless, but not a lawless place at the same time. What was that?
What was the highlight?
I think going up to the DMZ was a real highlight.
Yeah.
On my trip, we had so you have to go up with a tour. You can't just drive up there yourself.
No.
And on my trip, we had a defector that came and sat on the bus and spoke with us and answered any questions that we had, which was really interesting. She, I think she defected about 10 years ago, and it took her 9 months to get from North Korea all the way out and around and then into Seoul, where the rest of her family were.
By water or by land?
So she was smuggled over a river to China.
Oh, right. Okay.
And you have to have a broker that smuggles you, that pays all the money and does all that kind of stuff. So she was smuggled over to China and then went from China to Myanmar, Myanmar to Thailand, and then Thailand back to Seoul.
Oh, jeez.
That is like one of the only ways that you can go. And so her whole family has like slowly been like defecting. So her mum and both of her sisters have gone. She's now gotten out, but her brother is still in North Korea. And they're not sure if he'll be able to make it out. One, because it's like so expensive to do it now.
Yeah.
But also because the North Korean government is very much watching him.
Yeah.
So they're like,
Can
the
imagine.
rest of your family's disappeared. So we're just going to keep an eye on
We're going to
you.
make sure you stay right here.
But yeah, she was fascinating. She was super lovely. And yeah, it was just like really, really interesting. I learned a lot about the whole, I guess, yeah, like the site, like the locked kingdom and stuff of North Korea and why it is how it is.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez.
And it's like so recent. And while I was over there, I kept getting these push notifications on my phone that were emergency alerts, but they were all in Korean. And so the first one I saw, I was like, well, I guess I'm dying. I guess this is the end for me.
Well, what's Korean for missile flying ahead?
And so I ran it through my little translator app and it was like, it's really hot today. Please make sure that you don't go outside. Have some water. If your parents live alone, give them a call. There's another one, I think, that was the same thing, but it was like there's been sightings of trash balloons being sent over from North Korea. If you see one, don't touch it.
Trash balloon.
Yeah, so they've been doing this since about May, and they're sending over hydrogen balloons, like those big
Like
weather
weather
balloons.
balloons,
Yeah. With like a bag of like rubbish and like literal shit attached to it, and just like sending them to South Korea.
This is like
Wow.
the equivalent of like an international dog shit on the doorstep.
Yeah, it's like it's two
Prank.
neighbors who fucking hate each other, and they're just provoking each other.
That's so petty.
Yeah,
Wow.
so North Korea blasts. They have like, I was looking at one point where I was this observation deck, and I was like looking through binoculars over at North Korea, and I could see all these little farmers working in the fields and stuff, and I was like, this is just so surreal. But as I was kind of looking along the shoreline, because it's the river's kind of like the main border between the two, like the middle of the DMZ. And then I was looking along the shoreline, and then there was just this giant stack of speakers just like sticking out like a sore thumb. And that just blasts like North Korean propaganda into South Korea. And South Korea blasts back South Korean propaganda and K-pop.
God, it's so funny.
You know what? That's a war that's never ended. Like literally.
Yeah.
It could like turn badly very quickly. Anyway. Yeah.
So speaking of lawless lands, Adelaide.
Yes. You know what?
Adelaide, North Korea.
Yeah, well, you know.
Two
Just
sides
send
of the
some
same
shit over,
coin.
shall we? Get the balloons out. So, yeah, not a great game. Well, not a great result. It wasn't that it was a bad game. I think we played quite well. But Adelaide is just, I mean, they're undefeated this season, and it's just proof as to why. I'm surprised that it took, like, when I was looking at the worm, it wasn't until like maybe about 3/4 of the way through the second quarter that they really took off. So we managed to keep them pretty, you know, close for almost half the game.
Yeah, I was much less annoyed this week than I was last week. I thought we did a lot of things better. And it was like, there was like a period in the second quarter where they kicked like 3 goals in like 2 minutes. And that's when they kind of broke us. But
You're
even
like, here we go.
yeah, but even after that, like, I think probably like year 1, year 2, we would have lost by a lot more.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have kicked goals after that. We'd just be hanging on. Whereas I think after that, it was pretty much even. A goal here or there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a much better performance than in any of our losses this year, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's just, you know, it's just hard when Adelaide is just such a dominant and determined side.
Yeah.
And they really work so cohesively. Those link ups are really beautiful. They just kind of they can really flex that deeper experience that they have as a squad too. So our ins this week, we had Gamble and G coming in, and then out we had Williamson and Dyke. Surprised by the Williamson omission.
Yeah. I thought she was really good the last couple of weeks since she's played up forward out of the square. We talked about it both weeks, I think.
Yeah.
The only thing is that she's been playing like half the game in terms of actual time on the field.
Yeah, okay. So she's being a bit managed.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering whether that's becoming an issue, especially with these multiple back-to-back games, that we can't really afford to have a full forward that can't play, most of the game on the field, just because of rotations. So that may be it. But I think she was a bit stiff on performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's obviously been replaced at full forward by Gamble, which was a bit of a gamble. And Gamble isn't my attempt at doing a turkey sound.
Gamble. That's awful.
I'm so glad I'm back. I've missed this.
But yeah, I think in hindsight, having Williamson coming out of the goal square was probably a little bit of a more threatening than Gamble was in the end. But I would assume that Williamson comes back in next week, I would think.
Yeah.
Gamble, she looked okay. She brought some contest to ground, but didn't have much ball and didn't look too threatening at goal, apart from getting that free kick that was, honestly, maybe not even there. But yeah, I think
good finish though.
It was actually a very good finish. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't think Nat Woods really figured out what the makeup of the forward line, how it should look without Bonnie there yet.
Yeah, still trying to figure that one out.
Yeah, she's just trying some stuff to see if it works.
And that's the only way you can do it, really. You just got to chuck things at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you've had a whole preseason to prepare for this. It happens at midway through, round one, and you're thrown into it. So, it's not surprising. But, I think Gamble body size is a much more Bonnie replacement, but she just doesn't have the speed or the hands above her head that Bonnie has. But it was a good finish by her. But I didn't mind trying it out. And when we get into the preview of next week, we'll talk about what the options are, and how maybe we can try some different stuff out there.
Absolutely. Speaking of handy little goals, just Paige Scott listen to the pod, do you reckon?
Yeah.
I noticed last week, you guys were like, she needs to stop bloody trying to, get the highlight and all that kind of stuff. I did notice that she was taking herself back to those fundamentals this week, which is really good to see. And it's good to see that she can do it as well when she kind of calms herself and steadies herself. The setup for her goal was kind of really textbook and contested marking, really settling herself, slotting that goal, just, keeping a really clear mind. And she does really good shepherding as well. So it's good to see her kind of taking it back to those fundamentals and clicking those into gear before you try and, do the big hangers and speckies. Yeah,
I think Paige Scott in the last 18 months would have gone for a specky on the goal line rather than putting a little body on it and just letting it go straight through. Yeah. So that is good to see. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's never been a question with her, can she do it? And it's not like a work rate or an effort thing. She's always putting in effort, and we know she's got the skills to do basically every part of the game. It's just decision making. It's just knowing what the right move is, and it was definitely much better this week. One thing I want to talk about was just our overall defensive transition work compared to the last couple of weeks. One thing that annoyed the shit out of me last week was just we played from behind on every one-on-one and then tried to mark it and weren't spoiling and they were just moving the ball freely. We were much better this week positionally, took front position a lot more, intercept marked as a result a lot more, and different players were doing it. It wasn't all Maddie Gay, the only one taking an intercept mark. It was an all-round thing, and I think that's a big reason why the score didn't blow out, is that we managed to halt their momentum quite a few times.
Yeah, you could definitely tell that there was a shift in pressure.
Yeah.
This game, and for as competent and as well cohesive and well kind of gelled Adelaide is as a team, they did look a little bit panicked at some points where we were kind of really putting that hard pressure on, which is what you have to do with a team that's as as strong and as undefeated as Adelaide. The only thing you really can do when you know that you're probably not going to come to them, with plays and all that kind of stuff, is to just put the pressure on. Yeah. I noticed a few times where they made some really very simple mistakes, and we kind of forced their hand on a few things.
Yeah.
And I think that's very
a lot of out
very
on
smart
falls and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah. Let's not talk about Maddie Prespakis who's out on the full off a free. Oh my god. I was I remember I was texting the chat and I was I was texting the Discord actually. And I was saying something, and then I was and Maddie's just immediately kicked you out of the full, so that's good.
Yeah, she didn't have a great game.
No. Quite quiet. Yeah, so I don't know what's happening. If there's some kind of...
obviously the Adelaide midfield is one of the most physical
Oh, they're
and
terrifying.
just like straight up scariest in the league. So like, if you were going to have a quiet day, it probably would be this one. But I think like you could probably add in Nanscon as well into that kind of quiet day.
Yeah.
Both of them didn't have anywhere near their season averages in just about any stat. It just wasn't quite as effective as normal. But, when you got Marinoff and Co running around, that's obviously going to happen.
Oh, yeah, they're terrifying.
Yeah.
In saying that, Marinoff was down on what she's been doing. She's been getting like 40 plus most weeks. So, I mean, she was still the best player on the ground because she's a star. But
23 touches, a goal, 5 clearances, 12 tackles.
Yeah, but like last week she had like 44, 15 tackles. Like,
That's true.
Like,
it's a rest day for her.
I mean, like another one, we spoke about when we previewed the game was Danielle Ponta, who kicked like 5 and had 22. I mean, Georgia Clarke has taken names and taken scalps this year because, yes, she kicked 2 goals, but 8 possessions, 2 goals, and one of them was like out the back, kick off the ground, scrubber kind of goal. So like it was, Georgia Clarke has really won every one of her one-on-ones so far this year. It's like, as a sort of
that's good.
Taking the key forward from the opposite team. So
keeping Danielle Ponta to 2 goals is impressive.
I mean, she's been like off the hook this year, Danielle Ponta. So it was a great effort.
Yeah, I think we can really look at that game as a loss on the scoreboard, but I think for us as like the development of our team has been, it's shown how far we've progressed in the couple of years that we've been in the league. Any other positives that we've seen out of that game?
We haven't spoken about her very much at all on the pod, but Amy Gaylor, the brand new recruit, she hasn't lit the world alight in her first 4 games, but she does the defensive necessities really, really well. Like she racks up intercept possessions every single game. She's not trying to dart balls out of half back. That's not really her game, but she's really chipped in defensively, and I think that's really impressive from such a young player.
She's been really solid.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that she's been given the time to try and cement her spot in the side. So I would love to see her keep going.
Yeah,
she's got a massive boot on her as well. Like,
love that.
Yeah, wait until like she plays in the midfield and she can really unleash. But you can see like her kicking, her action is like textbook. She's she's going to be a really good user going forward. I mean, she will end up playing midfield, eventually, because she's that good, and she's also a really good size. So yeah, good start to the season for her.
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely.
That's good. That's good to see some promise in the side as well.
Yeah.
Bannister obviously really up and about all game. She had a pretty good one.
Yeah, great game for her.
Yeah, real textbook drop punts from that same spot that she did that top a few weeks back as well. Love it.
Why did she do it?
She's found her sweet spot.
Yeah.
She's found it. She's like, I just need to be in this little patch of grass, and
she's shown the ability to learn from mistakes, and that makes any
good.
footballer a better player.
And that was a great kick too, because there was a lot of wind and blowing right in her face, so she really had to kick it 5 or 6 meters out from goal.
Yeah,
the wind take. It was a really good finish.
Good work. All right, let's look at the bads. We've talked about Maddie Prespakis and Nan Scorn. What was the moment about 2 minutes from the end of the game there, Ari?
Oh, yeah. So it was just a really funny moment. It was on the wing, and there was a pack around the ball, and Maddie P gets tackled. Georgia Nanscorn's already on the ground because she's been diving after the ball.
Yeah.
And Maddie gets tackled and handballs the ball directly into Georgia Nanscorn's face. And Georgia Nanscorn just looks at it like, what the fuck? What are you doing? Just a massive falcon.
Oh, that's great. I think that'll be played at the end of the season. That'll be a little replay in the club.
I also did like Maddie P's murdering of the Adelaide players' AC joint. That was classic Maddie P.
She's so brutal. She hits hard, we know that, but she keeps hitting hard. Really drives into the ground. Aims to hurt people, which is amazing.
Yeah. It's you can hurt people, but as long as you do it legally, within the game,
perfect shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, perfect.
But you could just see her collarbone and AC joint. You could just see it crumble in.
Yeah, she's out with a collarbone too as well. I've noticed in the Post-match report. Oh my God, I can't even think anymore. We've talked about our little key forward mix.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to note on that?
I still think that we should give Wales a crack up there. We still haven't seen too much of that.
Yeah.
That would require Dyke to come back and decide to chop out a little bit in the ruck. But I think now that we've seen that, I'm not sure Gamble will be a full forward again next week.
Yeah.
I would like to see a little bit. I would like to see Wales go down more. That's for sure. Yeah. I think she's such a presence. I think it's just got to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think we'd lose too much around the ground if we put someone else in ruck majority of the game. I think the Wales can certainly do it.
Oh, I'm talking 25% of the game. Like rest downs because she's playing 85 to 95% game time.
Yeah.
Just change that to 80% ruck, 15 down forward.
Yeah, that's doable. But then I don't know. It still leaves 80% of the game. Who's going to do it when she's not there? You know what I mean? If she's only spending 20% of the game up forward. Who's doing?
Who's up forward for the rest of it? Yeah,
of the time. It's an issue we're going to have all season. One thing I looked at, or was thinking about during the game, was that one moment Amber Clarke took a great mark on the lead and then kicked the ball 40 or 45. She missed the goal, but only just. But I actually really like the idea of her coming out of the square. She's definitely undersized, but she's quick. She reads the game really well. Her timing on the lead's really good, and her goal kicking is really good. She's a great kick, long kick. I wouldn't mind seeing them do something slightly different, play someone smaller out of the square. I don't know why Soph Alexander's not playing out of the square, but she doesn't have that pace on the lead.
Yeah.
And I think size isn't the biggest thing if you're a really good mark above your head.
Oh, yeah, no.
Because,
and
given how quick she is, she can get the ball on the lead.
Just take off, yeah.
So I really wouldn't mind seeing her do it, just to try something a bit different.
Yeah, throw that in the mix, Woodsy. Let's see what happens.
She's had 2 very quiet weeks, so I think something probably does have to change a little bit with Clarke in terms of positioning on the ground, because I think in the last 2 weeks she's had 8 touches combined, which we know she can be better than that. So yeah, maybe changing it up a little bit is the way to go.
And conceded a couple of goals on that siren of both the first and second quarters.
So frustrating.
Yeah.
Really
the first one in particular is half a second. The pressure was good in the last 10 seconds, and we did well to stop them getting a shot off in those 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But then the 0.5 second right at the end, it's
they'll use it.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing that happened with that one that's so annoying is that we had a lot of bodies in and around the ball, but everyone ran back to the goal side of the ball, and it allowed Adelaide to just feed the ball back out, and then
come back in
open who just took a snap for goal. It's hard because there's so much pressure in that moment to know where you need to be, but you don't need everyone running back to the goal.
No, and I think that's just that just needs to be improved communication. Just someone yelling, "I'm going deep," or I'm going back, or cover off X person. And
it's experience. It's just structural position.
It's just footy IQ.
Yeah, when there's a contest on the ground that close to goal, someone needs to go to the goal line. Not everyone does, and don't all get sucked into the ball. Look around you a bit.
If that goal didn't go through, we would have been going into the huddle at quarter time in front, which obviously is still 3 quarters to play, but that psychological edge might have just helped a touch. Knowing that going back into the group, Woodsy would have been able to say, "Look at the scoreboard, we're doing it," rather than, "Oh, we're still in it."
Yeah.
Also, it says something about what we're like now, that even against a team like Adelaide away, we still dominated the first quarter like we have every other game.
It's good.
A lot more inside 50s, really locking the ball. They couldn't exit. It was really, really good work. We can't do that a whole game yet. But, the blueprint's there to be a really good team, because every team has struggled to play against us in at least the first quarter, sometimes the first half, to exit out of D50.
Anything else before we go and check in with Dan for one last time?
Yeah, enough said about this game.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. This is the last interview in the series that Dan has done for us at Essendon's Media Day. This one's with Amber Clarke, so hopefully it's a good chat. Thank you so much, Dan, for doing this for us and for having a little imprint on the pod for the first few weeks. We miss you so much. But that does also mean that we do have a space available. There's no podcasting, not training, but like experience required. If you have a good voice and you're a good yapper, we are definitely looking for someone to come and join us, especially another femme voice on the pod. So if you do want to apply, you can hit that up on our socials and we'd love to hear from you.
Okay, so we're now very lucky to be joined by Essendon's first ever draft pick, Amber Clarke. Thanks for joining us, Amber. For our listeners, can you tell us a bit about your journey to playing AFLW?
Yeah, well, I started footy back when I think I was 8 at the time. Joined the local footy team just because a lot of the boys from my school were playing there, and I thought, why not? Saw it on TV, thought it looked pretty fun. And then from there, I played with the boys for about 5 years. And then eventually when I had to move across to girls, that's when the pathway started to happen. I got accepted into Roval Sports Academy, which was a huge step in my football growth. So through from year 7 to 12, they were just enormous. They really helped me. The coaches Darren Buick and at the time Mark Fisher, they were great. They really got me to where I am today, so I'm really grateful for them. And then, it got picked up by Dandenong Stingrays, Vic Country, did a little bit of VFL in the time, and then it was lucky enough to get picked up by Bombers in the draft. Yeah,
fantastic. And how did you go balancing school and footy in that first year, kind of from pre-season, straight into playing at the highest level?
Yeah, it was definitely challenging, as most of the girls in that year level would say. Year 12 isn't really an easy year for anyone. Balancing all those difficult subjects like chemistry is not fun. But when it's something that you enjoy and you want to, get to the next level in, you can sacrifice some things in a way. So there was definitely some late nights, early mornings, really long days, but it was all worth it in the end, especially when we had a pretty good first season as well. I can't complain about that. So I thought it was definitely worth it, and we all got through it, which was nice.
Yeah, fantastic. And then last season, you had such a great year and even picked up a Rising Star nomination. Looking back, how did you kind of rate that season, both for yourself but also the team more broadly in making finals?
Yeah, well, it was definitely a really good season for the team. Obviously, being that was our second year and making finals, a really good achievement. And we just saw so much growth in the team, connection-wise, the way we want to play, even just individual performances. People grew so much, so it was really good to see. For myself, it wasn't a bad season. Definitely, I know I have a lot more to give, but still young, still working out this level, and so hopefully this year will be better.
Yeah, great. And do you have any particular kind of goals for yourself, whether it's this season in particular or, looking ahead, how you see your football career panning out, I guess?
Well, I'm hoping to obviously play for, as long as I can.
Yeah.
So whether that be another 10 years, 5 years, whatever my body sort of, has, but hopefully that's just as long as possible. And in the meantime, it's kind of just getting myself to be the best I can be. Ideally, I'd like to push myself to become one of the best in the competition. That would be a really nice thing to have, to be well known, to have all the fans, love you and support you and, want to have a chat with you and all that. I think that'd be pretty cool. But it's just becoming the best I can be while still bringing my teammates along with me and making sure that they get the best out of themselves as well.
Yeah, great. I think you're definitely well on the way to that, particularly for Bombers fans. I'd love to hear, and I'm sure our listeners would be really keen to hear, a sense of what pre-season is looking like week to week.
Yeah, well, it's pretty full on. We started we're about halfway through pre-season now. And so we're in at the club a few times a week, about 4 times a week, and so we've got a few main sessions, lots of gym and all that, and we're really just getting into the gritty detail of everything to try and figure it out now. That way when we go into the actual season, it should be all smooth sailing and, we can tweak things when we need to, but just getting into the gritty detail now, really focusing in on the smaller things and the finer details to hopefully, nut out everything and make it easier.
Yeah, great. I feel like as well there's so much younger talent coming through, including yourself. Having those pathways is a really big deal. Is there anyone in particular in the side that you're playing alongside that you think fans should keep an eye out for?
Well, the three that we picked up, the two we picked up in the draft last year, and Amy, who we picked up pre-draft, they are looking very good. Mm-hmm. The way they're training on the track, it's amazing. Their effort, their intent, their willingness to get better, and even just, their energy they bring. I know they're going to have a really good season, all three of them. But even your ones like Paige Scott, absolute jet, and the work that they do on and off the field is amazing. So yeah, I definitely reckon they're some ones to look out for. They're going to have some good seasons, I reckon. Yeah, hot tip, we'll definitely be keeping an eye out. And just lastly, what are you kind of looking forward to most about this coming season? Just the opportunities we get. We're going to our third season, so we're still building, but we've got a really good foundation already. We've picked up some really good players in the off season as well, so we've got some really good talent in the team now, so I'm really excited to see what we can do this year. Yeah, fantastic. Well, thanks for your time, Amber, and all the best for this season. Thank you.
That was so good. What a good chat. I can't believe Amber started playing from 8 years old and hasn't stopped. Yeah. That's crazy.
Coached by former Bombers legend Darren Buick.
Yeah, just dropping that one in.
Yeah, and his son,
Ruby.
Yeah, a gun, an absolute jet, and he's going to be a father-son for us, I think, in 2 years' time. I think he's like 16 now.
Yeah, something like that.
But like a real gun.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah, loved that chat. I feel like she... I don't know. I feel like I always get a vibe from Amber that she's very quiet and quite reserved. But she sounds really like level-headed and very generous and like, I don't want to say media trained, but like doesn't just give you that standard like, oh yeah, like we're building, it's a building year, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Like the kind of standard, like it's very thoughtful, was very thoughtful with her responses.
Yeah. And I think what she was saying about her juniors really shows, the difference between players who are, around 30 now and the players who came into the AFLW in the first few years to the kids that have been drafted the last few years.
They're terrifying.
Yeah, they've all been in like elite pathways programs from like 12 years old. Yes. And if you compare to the older ones now who basically didn't play any footy from like 14 till their 20s.
Yeah.
So, it's why you see such a big gap in sort of like skill level fundamentals. It's because these girls have been playing in elite pathways for years now and have had years to hone all these skills, and you can really see because they're kicking, they're marking, all that stuff. Amber's a perfect illustration of that. Are just really, really good from the moment they enter the comp.
Yeah, it's absolute proof of what happens when you when you don't get told no.
Yeah. And you like invest in them as kids.
Yes, absolutely.
Really put the programs in place for them to develop, and they will develop. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that, a big shift, well, not a big shift, but a big difference between the men's and women's programs as well is that the women's are really, really fucking grateful for that opportunity.
Yeah.
It's not, I think with the men's, it's so ingrained in like the private schools and the whole process of like going through everything and like, there's the pathways and you kind of know from a kid and like your parents, and there's a lot of like, politics around it, but the women's are just like, just let us have a fucking go and we'll show you what we can do.
Well, it's because they know it wasn't like a given, that they've got players in their teams that didn't have this. Like, it's not like this is, 50, 60-year-old women complaining about what it was like in the good old days. Like, they've got players in their team that didn't have this growing up.
Exactly.
So they're all really grateful for it.
Yeah.
But it just has such it's not just like the skills and all that. Like, I know there's a lot of research starting to happen this year, especially in the soccer world around ACLs and that kind of thing.
Yes.
And we got more ACLs this week. But like even, what years of elite development does for your body and prepares your body to be an elite athlete is a very different story to just winging it and not having any of those stuff growing up. That
absolutely.
If it starts early, it will have less ACLs going forward and all sorts of injuries because they're, by the time they get into the competition,
your bodies are ready.
They're ready for it. They're not
absolutely.
trying to constantly play catch up.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, and that's right through as well with the ACLs. Like that comes right down to amateur leagues and down to AFL 9s. I know people that did their ACL playing AFL 9s, which is a non-contact sport.
Yeah. But you see, like, you know, with something like, say, tennis, for example, right?
Yeah.
You don't see a crazy disparity with ACLs between female and male tennis players because female players have been at an elite level of development and money and all that kind of stuff for years now, since like for like 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
So there isn't this huge gap, whereas like in all these team sports where it's only the last 10 years that there's been any kind of money and development in the women's game, there is a huge gap in what are happening to women's bodies by playing and what are happening to men's, and it's just because you know, they're thrown into it as adults with none of this sort of development stuff.
Yeah, there's no foundational stuff put in there. And just back to Amber as well, I think she had a really healthy approach to what she wants out of her career. She's very much like, I'll just go until my body says that I can't go anymore.
Yeah.
But also like seeming quite selfless and very team oriented about it as well. And is like, you know, I'll take my team with me. I, you know, really believe in this group that we've got, and it was just like I was really like, oh, that's just such a sweetheart. She's so young and she's so sweet.
She's always ever
she's
since
yet
she
to
came
be
in,
jaded by the rest of the world.
She looked like she was willing to do any role, and that's why, like, even you know the thought of her playing out of full forward, I'm sure she'd just be like, yeah, sure,
I'll give it a go.
It. Yeah,
why not? All right, let's look forward to round 5. It is the big dance for some, but it's a big Demons sesh. I don't know what I'm going with that today for us, but it's on Friday the 27th of September at 2:05 p.m. Great for all of us who live in Victoria that have the day off. Sorry everyone else who probably wants to watch it. Just watch it on your lunch break, I suppose. And it's at Windy Hill.
Yeah, which I would have said is a massive advantage, but turns out we're fucking shit there. So.
It hasn't been so far this
The fortress has cracks in the walls.
If we've ever had a chance to beat the Demons, it's this year.
It's this year.
They look real ordinary.
And which is like pretty good because at the start of the season, I think all three of us said that this was the game that we wanted to win.
Yeah.
You know, to show how far we'd come. If we win it, it might show more of how far they've fallen, but we won't look at that. But it is good to hopefully get one over them. It'd be really, 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 really good.
Yeah, it would be very tasty.
I mean, we have talked about our draw has been really hard. It didn't seem that way pre-season because of how we imagined, but like the competition's been all over the place.
Yeah.
But it starts to get easier from now.
Oh, yeah.
And Melbourne are really struggling. You know, maybe the West Coast game aside, this last week was our best performance. So, you know, if we can bring that back home and play a decent game at Windy Hill for once, we should have a real shot.
Yeah.
We've played 4 teams all in the top 8. Our next 4 games are all teams in the bottom 8 or bottom 10 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So and sadly we're at a point now where it almost is make or break. If we lose this, we go to 4-1, and it is uphill from there. So we'd better come firing.
And I think just because, you know, after this round, it's a bit of an easier draw for us. I don't think that should mean that we take our foot off the gas and get complacent.
No, we have to win.
Still definitely come at it like a bull at a gate. I just looked up the weather for Friday. Partly cloudy, top of 18, which I think is okay.
Yeah, hopefully not too windy.
Southeasterly winds 15 to 20 k's. During the morning, light in the afternoon. Becoming light in the afternoon.
Okay,
I'll take
that's
that.
good.
I'll take that. That's fine.
They train out in Casey, which is the wind capital of the world. So I mean,
the Windy City. I believe.
So if it is windy, it's we're going to have to really, really, really work it.
But like we said, Melbourne's very much not themselves. They've had a lot of big injuries this year. Obviously, the big one being Taylor Harris being out for the season. So kind of having your star player out. Like that. I mean, but we've also got our star player out, so it's like...
They lost key players as well, compared to last year.
Yeah.
Okay. Libby Birch and Maddie Gay, obviously, with us, who gets to play against her.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be the big gas up, I think, for the game.
Yeah, definitely. And she's been in such good form for us. Another 500 and something metres going last week.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Jeez. Melbourne lost to Freo on Saturday in Western Australia, playing away, with a goal to Aisling McCarthy after the siren, which is
second time.
Devastating.
Second time it's ever happened in AFLW.
Oh.
A goal after the siren to win the game.
And Freo kicked 4 unanswered goals in the fourth quarter as well. So it's like...
Yeah, they fell apart.
What are you doing?
Yeah, it's actually going to be really interesting. The first quarter is going to be so important because
that's going to be the set. That's going to be the pace setter.
We've played our best footy in the first quarters of all of our games, and they were thumping Freo up until up a quarter time. I think there were 4 or 5 goals up.
Yeah,
so it's going to be such an important aspect of the game. We're really going to have to try and get it on top early, and outlast. I think even.
Other outs probably for Melbourne. I think we're still waiting for all of the injury lists and stuff to come out. Mackin came off with a calf issue in the last game. Paxman's probably still unavailable. So there's about 10 players that are injured for the Dees. So it's they've definitely lost a lot of depth, probably right across the board there as well. Thankfully, fingers crossed, no fresh injuries or suspensions for us.
Yeah, well, we have had mystery injuries the last couple of weeks, so fingers crossed on that one. I think I heard on credit to the girls that Melbourne are at the point they'll have to sign like some injury replacement players because they're that short. I'm not sure they'll be able to field a team without some extra players, but I guess everyone have a look out for the injury list when it comes out, probably tomorrow. To see what it really looks like.
And then interestingly, like after Friday's game, we then have another game on, is it Wednesday? Following Wednesday?
Wednesday night. Footscray, weirdly, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Sydney.
And then another one. So we have like 3 games in the space of like 10 days.
Yeah, Friday, Wednesday, Sunday.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that for my diary. But it also means that, that's like a very tight turnaround. Like bodies are going to be sore.
Yeah.
I'll be worried, like especially in that second and third game.
Yeah, we talked about it a bit last week because we made the mistake of thinking that this week was happening last week. But it will be interesting to see what Nat Wood does with the teams.
Yeah,
if anyone
is rested.
You'd think probably it's going to be the next 2 games where they're going to leave some people out of the Sydney game, and then leave some other people out for the Gold Coast game because there's a week coming into this one. But I've got no idea how this is going to work. We haven't seen this before, so
I don't even know how this podcast is going to work in the next 2 weeks. So, let alone an entire football league, this like fucking A-B schedule thing that they're doing, just because can't play a single game on December 1st, God forbid. All right, let's look at our predictions. What are we thinking this week? Who's going to be our first goal kicker? I'm going to say Amber Clarke.
Okay. Oh, yeah, it'd be good if she does play forward.
Yeah. We'll say Woodsy's going to listen to our podcast and be like, I'm going to put her forward. She's going to slot a goal.
Yeah, that's a decent shout. You're welcome.
I have the wisdom of all of South Korea.
I'm going to go Soph Alexander. She's overdue for a goal.
I was going to say the same thing, but I'll switch up and go with... I think Lily Rose comes back into the side and she kicks the first.
That's cool. That's coming in hot. I love that. Who are we looking at for best on?
Maddie Gay gets her old team.
Actually, I agree with that. She'll get that dog in her just for this game.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Well, hopefully, she'll be half back. Hopefully, can get a few spoils and knees into the side of Kate Hall. That'd be pretty great. I'll go with Maddie P. Had a bit of a quiet one. I don't think she will be resting until she goes out and dominates again.
Yeah,
good job.
I think I'm going to agree with Ari on that one. And result and margin.
I almost got it bang on last week.
Did you?
Yeah, I said 34, I'm pretty sure I said. 34 points. It was 33.
So close.
I think we will win this game by 7 points.
Yeah, I was going to say we're going to win it, but not by much. Yeah. I'm going to say win by 5. I reckon it's going to be real tight.
Yeah.
I'll go 3.
Oh, okay. Are we winning or losing though?
Undecided.
3 either way.
Yes.
All right. Looking around the grounds. Obviously, it's Monday night, the Monday night before the grand final. So the Brownlows are on tonight. Any tips? Any hot tips on who's going to win that one?
I just hope it's the Bond.
Yeah.
I hope it's Marcus Bontempelli as well.
Yeah.
He so deserves it. And it's like he's just been waiting patiently. And I feel like if it doesn't happen this year, he might kill someone.
Well, I think he's just running out of time.
Yeah.
You know, you'd think the Dogs are going to be worse next year than they were this year. And he's not getting any younger either. So, I don't know. I think it's probably now or never. And I do hope he wins it. I think he's been the best player, like, consistently over, like, the last 5 years.
I would say he's been the best player nearly every year in those last 5
Yeah,
years.
well, that's true.
And yet here we are. All right, I'm trying to boot up the stream so I can just have a little check in to see where they're at.
Tom
It's
Green's
giving me
leading.
an ad. Tom Green is leading.
Tom Green leading 3 rounds in. He's got 3, 2, and 3 votes in the first 3 games.
Jeez, all right, brother.
Yeah. Which I wouldn't mind seeing him win either, to be honest. He's a funny little dude. And by little dude, I mean fucking massive.
He's a funny little guy. Give him the Brownlow. Mine's just showing me an ad at the moment. Who else have we
Channel
got on the
7
list?
classic.
Is it telling you anything else?
Funnily enough, Isaac Heaney's up there.
Of course.
Ineligible. I'd love to see him
Rip.
get the most votes and not get it. It'd be great.
Scandal. That would be so scandalous.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time this podcast comes out, we'll all know who has won, but it's great to theorise. If this is still showing me ads.
The Sydney lost too many games at the back half of the year, though. I think they probably one of those Sydney guys will probably be on top at like the halfway mark, but they lost a lot of games in the run home.
Yeah.
Archie Perkins, 3 votes for round 2. I don't think he'll get many votes after that.
Come in, brother.
So congratulations on those ones, Arch.
That was the Hawthorn game where he kicked like 3 and had like
I don't know. This
12
was like
tackles or
4
something.
years ago to my brain, so
He was best on ground.
I couldn't tell you.
That game against Hawthorn, like by a mile.
okay. I'm up to round 3 on mine. So, are you ahead of me?
I'm not too sure. I am.
It's just showing me the promo from round 3.
I'm just looking at
round.
the vote tracker.
Oh, okay.
They're up to
Yeah, about
It wasn't round 2. It was because it was opening round, which
Bullshit.
we didn't.
Oh,
play.
round
So
0.
it was our
That's
round,
right.
Our first game against.
That's
Hawthorn.
right. God.
What about the granny?
The Grownie.
The granny. I did not say granny.
The Grownie. Before that, the Brisbane Geelong game on Saturday night, probably one of the best finals I think I've ever seen in my life. That was insane. It was very slow to start. It was like everyone kicking a point here and there. And I'm like, oh, we're doing the Joey Danaher kicking a goal the long way around. But then it just took off and it was like, holy shit. It's a real shame that goal of the year doesn't factor in finals. That one of Graham Myers, like right on the fucking boundary.
Yeah.
Soccering it across, and then Oliver Henry's toe poke. I sat there at the pub and was like, are you fucking kidding me?
There's like just a massive collection of absolute screamers. Like,
Yeah.
particularly Geelong. I reckon in about a 10-minute period they kicked 4 goals,
was
like snaps from
crazy.
boundaries. It's just ludicrous.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I have not watched 1 minute of the men's final series at all.
We get it. You respect women too much.
I
highly recommend
once
watching that
Essendon's
Brisbane
out, I
Geelong
just
one.
tune out
Yeah,
of the
true,
competition
fair.
completely.
Highly recommend watching that Brisbane Geelong game though.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
Sounds like a cracker.
And
I
yeah,
just
like
couldn't
literally,
care.
I woke
Swans
up.
Brisbane. I could not give a shit. I hate both of them.
Yeah, it's true.
Have we seen any footy media be like, oh, it's actually Fitzroy in South Melbourne? That Vic bias.
I've got a group chat with some Sydney cousins and they shit me to tears. So
Yeah.
I would love to see them get absolutely thumped, just so I can rub their
I am
noses in
also
it.
tipping Brisbane.
Yeah, I like it.
I think they deserve. I think it's time.
A Brisbane win with no Joe Danaher goals. Perfect.
But 8 points.
I have a feeling if Brisbane won one though, then like they wouldn't be good anymore. You know what I mean? I feel like they stay.
They'll either not be good anymore, or they'll do what they did in the early 2000s and just go on a 3-peat,
I think they're
and then not be good anymore.
I think they're
after
too
that.
old to do that. I think like this year was almost like a struggle to do it again.
Yeah,
And I think it was just the fact that they hadn't done it
I
yet.
wouldn't be surprised if a few leave
Yeah.
or like finish up.
Yeah,
after
whereas
this
like I think
season.
Sydney are going to be good next year no matter what happens.
Oh, yeah, Sydney
will
are
be good for
terrifying.
another,
Yeah.
30
They're
years.
such
let's
a
be
young
honest.
side.
So like I'd almost prefer Brisbane win it and then just a shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because Sydney will just come back and win it next year.
Yeah. So they're going to be good regardless. So
Yeah,
there's no
yeah.
benefit to them winning.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a day that I
That's
get
how
to
I
wear
think
my
about football.
Johnny Danaher shirt that I I have a shirt that my friends made. There's a group of us that all have it, and it's like a Descendants record, but it says Johnny Danaher. It's funny anyway. I never wear it anymore. Last time I wore it was grand final day last year.
I'd be happy for Conor McKenna.
Oh yeah, he didn't really do a lot in that. Sorry, you didn't watch it,
I
but
didn't
like
watch it.
he got subbed on quite late as like the I must have been a tactical sub, I think. But I was just
mate
like,
with the shoulder, I think maybe.
no, oh yeah, because I think they moved Joey up into ruck.
Yeah.
After
Mix something.
I
Mick
call
Chicken?
him
No, no.
Lurch
Lurch.
because he looks like Lurch. So bad.
But
But he McInerney,
Oscar.
That's
yeah.
the one, yeah.
So he popped his shoulder and then went and got it taped up and then came back on and popped his shoulder again.
Ugh.
I'm like, brother, what are you doing? And now he can't play the grand final.
It
Yeah.
was gruesome.
Oh,
very
it
gruesome.
was like, I was like, oh no, oh, it's not meant to look like that.
Conor McKenna's probably like the archetype of who you want coming on as a sub in
Yeah,
the third
but I
quarter
feel like
too.
I just didn't
Yeah.
see him do anything
Yeah.
after that.
But that
I was
happens
like, oh.
to subs sometimes.
Yeah, they just kind of
can't
get lost
into
in
it.
the lost in the mix. Anyway, well, hopefully he starts on the bench because that'd be great. He deserves it. Didn't he go home and play
Yeah, premiership.
in a premiership in
Gaelic.
and then won that and then came back? Hell yeah,
after
brother.
he binned us off.
For County Tyrone, I think he's from.
Bless. That's so sweet. Also around the grounds, Collingwood being thumped by Footscray.
Yeah.
They're now
Love it.
0-5 and 39.9%.
Yeah, they're real bad. I mean, they have got terrible injuries as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've been real shit. But the results are so wild this year.
Yeah.
Like we've been talking about it the last few weeks. Like Carlton smashes Geelong, keeps them goalless. Then Richmond
Chaos.
smashes Carlton, keeps them goalless. Like it's like every week the team who got smashed last week, like Hawthorn smashed last week,
Yeah.
smashed this week. Like it's so up and down, and
Yeah.
you can be great one week and terrible the next. I don't know. It's
I
just-
love the start of the season. It's
it's
pure
so
chaos
bizarre.
football.
I don't think it's ever been this chaotic.
No.
Like, I think there's North that have been good, and Adelaide that have been good all season. Everyone else basically has had shockers. And like Dogs are winning one. I thought Dogs wouldn't win a game all season. They were
Yeah.
They didn't kick a goal for a couple of games. I
Yeah.
think.
like GWS smashing them smash. It's like there's so many teams it's happening to. It's weird.
It keeps you on your toes
Yeah,
and also
yeah.
means that your tips are just fucked all year. It's great. Sad we're not playing Collingwood this year though.
It's a shame. Yeah. Like.
How is that possible as well? Like in the men's, we always play them twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So
we
you
have the
think
Anzac
Yeah,
game.
you think we'd have to play them once at least in the women's.
Oh, who fucking knows? I don't
And
know.
like that would be a game where we would probably get a higher above a crowd higher than average.
yeah,
Yeah.
to
Like-
make up for
Yeah.
these other fucked ones that are like,
Although I think we'll probably get that against North this year that we haven't played them
I'll
before.
be counting for one.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
and Doggies is maybe
Yeah, I think more games at Whitten Oval will probably get pretty good numbers as well.
yeah, we've got next week the night game against Sydney there.
Fuck yeah, I'm going to go to that.
Yeah. That should be pretty fun.
I'm not going to. Are you guys going to the Friday game at Windy?
I'm heading back to the farm.
Oh, okay. Afternoon tea at the farm.
Brunch
Brunch at the farm.
Loves it.
I'm.
But over the weekend, I had
All right, let's get into it.
over a 2-day period, I had a breakfast, a brunch, a lunch, an afternoon tea, and a dinner across
Brother,
2
that's-
days.
Oh, okay, across 2 days.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
That's
that
a
is
lot of
too much
food.
food for one day.
Well, you know who you're talking to.
Wow. Does this look like a man who's had all he can eat? Yeah, I have a grand final day brunch with my friends who are coming down from Sydney, all my
Champagne
Swannies.
breakfast.
Fucking absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Then I'm going to my friend's house in Maribyrnong, and she has like a big backyard, and they're going to set up like a beer garden.
Oh, nice.
That's going to be great. But yeah, my run into grand final long weekend is intense. I have my footy club, West Brunswick Footy Club Prezzo on Thursday night. I'm going to listen out on Friday.
Jesus,
And then I've got grand final stuff
you're gonna be dead.
on Saturday. And then Sunday, I rest. Sunday is the Hoon Tomb. All right. I'm going to fucking put myself in the Hoon Tomb now. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks again to Dan for doing all of our interviews at the top of the season. They were really, really great to hear from her, but also really great to hear from the club as well and some of those key players. Please head along to our socials, sign up to our socials. Please sign up to our Discords. And if you would like to fill our empty fourth seat and come and be on the podcast with us, you can also send in an expression of interest for that. We'd love to hear from you. And I guess we'll see you next week. We need to figure out how we're going to do
this. We haven't worked it out yet. But at some point
we'll figure it out.
You'll hear from us once, maybe twice.
Maybe 3 times, who's to say? Might be a little treat.
Live stream the game on Wednesday and just knock out a pod as we're doing it.
That's not a bad idea.
Can we live stream from Whitten?
Can you make that happen?
All right, see you next week.
All right, up the plains.
Down the plains.